has expired, and I call the member for Shortland.
Well, what a pathetic effort from this generation's Bronwyn Bishop. Someone talked about with great potential but under-delivers every single time. And I'm going to start with one simple question. This is a debate about climate change. Where is the climate change minister? She's back in witness protection. They rolled her out yesterday for a 20-minute press conference where the Minister for Energy wouldn't let her answer a question. Mind you, I don't blame him after her performance. And they rolled her back into witness protection. Such is the commitment of this government to climate change that the Minister for the Environment doesn't turn up for the debate. That is the truth of how little this government takes climate change seriously. Well, this is a debate about a carbon tax, that's sure, but there is only one carbon tax, and that's their ridiculous emissions reduction fund. They have spent $4 billion of taxpayers' money to pay polluters not to pollute. That is a carbon tax. That is a carbon tax by any definition. And let's look at some of the projects. They're paying a gold miner $1 million to build a gas-fired plant that the gold miner says they would have built anyway. Yeah. They're paying $2 million to Rio Tinto to put in a diesel generator that was commissioned before they opened their fund. They've already cancelled 28% of the projects they're funding under the Emissions Reduction Fund. And Malcolm Turnbull said that this fund, worth $4 billion now, is a fig leaf for doing nothing. A fig leaf for doing nothing. That is their entire climate change policy, paying polluters not to pollute. And let's go on to the so-called fish-up modelling. This piece of work that should have been written on a toilet paper, because that was the quality of that piece of work, it put the cost of storage at $200 a megawatt hour, despite the fact that Snowy Hydro says the cost of renewable energy plus the cost of storage is $70 a megawatt hour. This so-called modelling that says a $263 carbon price will still only drive 50% renewable energy. It ignores the land sector. It is utter rubbish. But I say this to the government: if they're going to rely on that modelling, if they're going to rely on it, what does it say about their policy? Their policy under this modelling is a $92 carbon price and involves a $90 billion hit to gross national income. That is what their chosen model says about their policy. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous, Mr Deputy Speaker. The truth is, the absolute truth is, this government does not care about taking action on climate change. Just look at the Prime Minister's contribution on this topic. Since entering Parliament in 2007, guess how many times Prime Minister Morrison mentioned climate change?
How many?
13 times. 13 times. 13 times in a 12-year parliamentary career. By contrast, he mentioned Canberra bubble 18 times. He's mentioned a combination of Sharks, beer and McDonald's 14 times. No mention of Engadine, but mentions of Sharks, beer and McDonald's. This is the level of commitment this government has to climate change. They don't even talk about it, let alone take it seriously. And let's look at their magical plan to actually achieve their target. This is their magical plan. Look at this. This is their magical spreadsheet. Look at this.
On the use
Look
of
at
props.
this. Climate Solutions Fund. Malcolm Turnbull said fig leaf.
The member for
Said fig
Shortland
leaf.
is warned on the use
Battery
of
of
props.
Nation, which only works on the Battery of Nation's own business case if you get 50% renewable energy. Gone. Electric vehicle strategy doesn't exist. And then the final one, 100 million tonnes. 100 million tonnes on technology improvements and other sources of abatement. They might as well have labelled that column blind faith. Blind faith that they'll suddenly find 100 million tonnes of abatement through some other method. That is the level of contribution to this debate on climate change from the government. The truth is, we have a concrete plan that will cut emissions by 45%, a concrete plan that will lower power prices, a concrete plan that will deliver at least 86,000 jobs in renewable energy and hydrogen, a concrete plan that will make a strong contribution to international action on climate change, a concrete plan that says to our children and our grandchildren, you count, you matter, we take your future seriously and we'll do something about it. By contrast, we've got a reactionary government only interested in short-term politics that history will condemn as the horrible, horrible people that
The
don't care
member's
about their
time has
kids' future.
expired.